Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and we are talking about the messed up timeline of Tears of the Kingdom. Quick disclaimer, I realize a lot of what I say can be chalked up to Nintendo not wanting to make more in the timeline, or me being straight up wrong. If it is the latter, please write a kindly worded comment and I'll be sure to respond. My favorite thing about Zelda is the lore, and I'm always happy to learn more about it, unless it's Triforce Heroes. Where the heck is Hytopia? When I first wrote this, most of it teetered on Skyward Sword, which I now realize has its own time travel mishaps and inconsistencies, and the manga at the back of the Historio, which apparently is not canon, but it is still my favorite game, and I already teased this video, so it's coming out. Bias review coming to you. Here's some backstory. Spoilers for Skyward Sword and the Hyrule Historia manga. Also, spoilers for Age of Imprisonment, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom later on. Skip to
4 minutes and 30 seconds.
If you know the story. Long ago, there was a war of unmatched scale and ferocity, the likes of which would never be seen again. One dark, fateful day, the earth cracked wide, and malevolent forces rushed forth from the fissure. They mounted a brutal assault upon the surface people, driving the land into deep despair. They burnt forests to ash, choked the land's sweet springs, and murdered without hesitation. They did all this in their lust to take the ultimate power protected by her grace, the goddess. The power she guarded was without equal. Handed down by the gods of old, this power gave its holder the means to make any desire a reality. To prevent this great power from falling into the hands of the evil swarming the lands, the goddess gathered the surviving humans on an outcropping of earth. She sent it skyward, beyond the reach of the demonic hordes, beyond even the clouds. With the humans safe, the goddess joined forces with the land dwellers and fought the evil forces, sealing them away. At last, peace was restored to the surface. The goddess fought with the bravest hero in the land, who reforged the Master Sword to fight against Demise. Unfortunately, he lost, and after his death, and Demise's healing with the help of Link's sword, Hylia grieved his death so much so that she shed her divinity and caused them both to reincarnate as Hylians on Skyloft. Blah blah blah, the entire plot of Skyward Sword. Skyloftian Link fights Demise and wins, and he curses Link. This is not the end. My hate never perishes. It is born anew in a cycle with no end. I will rise again. Those like you, those who share the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero, they are eternally bound to this curse. An incarnation of my hatred shall ever follow your kind, dooming them to wander a blood-soaked sea of darkness for all time. Okay, we get it. We can assume that the first Zelda founded Hyrule with Link, though it could be any Zelda in the bloodline, hence all Zeldas having the powers of the goddess. The curse follows the royal bloodline and the spirit of the hero. The first Zelda was Hylia, but not immortal, and all the rest were just descendants. So Twilight Princess Zelda is not Hylia, but she has the blood of the goddess, hence the powers. Alright, now on with the point. First of all, in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, somehow Zelda does not have the blood of the goddess. In those games, the way you get heart containers and stamina vessels is by praying to Hylia, and she answers. If Zelda had the blood of the goddess, then that would mean Hylia had shed her divinity to become a Hylian, and had children and eventually died. So through pretty much all of the Zelda timeline, Hylia is dead. If someone is dead, even if they are a goddess, they probably can't respond to you or give you gifts. This being true, how does Zelda have sealing magic? I doubt Hylia just gave divine powers to a random Hylian and said to fight evil. No wonder Zelda had trouble with her powers in the springs. She isn't a descendant of Hylia. Secondly, Ganondorf is not an incarnation of Demise ever in the Wild timeline. If Hylia is alive and didn't become Zelda, then Demise couldn't have existed because the battle between them would have killed Hylia without Link, whose death led to her shedding her divinity. Rauru and Sonia started Hyrule instead of Link and Zelda, and they only had to fight a Ganondorf, which doesn't make any sense because the only reason there are Gerudo males every 100 years is because of Demise's curse. So Ganondorf can't exist. Also, Link doesn't have the spirit of the hero. If Demise wasn't there, then Hylia had nobody to fight and wouldn't need a chosen hero. So Link would have died in battle and Hylia wouldn't have made Link reincarnate out of grief. That means one day, 2 people named their kid Link, and he happened to have blonde hair and wanted to be a knight, and also happened to work as the designated knight for Zelda, and they got together, and he saved Hyrule twice. So quick recap, we have a non-goddess Hylian, a swordsman who does not contain the spirit of the hero, and some 10,000 plus year old dehydrated man who just wants to claim Hyrule, but isn't an incarnation of Demise. Now I think I've made my point on the Triforce game. Next, everyone's favorite kick the dummy substitute, Koroks. So, this probably seems very random, so let me clear it up with one phrase. Koroks are an age of imprisonment. Does anybody see a problem here? From what we've understood, the children of the forest evolved from Kokiri to Koroks, which I found outrageous by the way. This means that the Deku tree existed at the founding of Hyrule and that Koroks evolved into Kokiri, which honestly makes more sense, then back into Koroks. This is devolving right here. Ridiculous. Finally, in one memory, one detail that wasn't necessary. When Link dies at the Calamity, Zelda sees the Master Sword glow blue. This is Phi, the spirit of the Master Sword created by the goddess to aid the hero of the sky and to purify Demise's essence. If Skyward Sword didn't happen, how in Hylia does Phi exist, and why did you put it in there? You had to do an Easter egg to an event that didn't happen and has no significance in either game. This was one of the more major examples, but if Demise never existed, or suspension in disbelief. If the curse did happen, an incarnation of Demise was under Hyrule Castle this whole time, so no other Ganondorfs could have existed between the founding of Hyrule and the upheaval. So there's no way salt from the Great Sea could be everywhere, because Hyrule wouldn't have needed to be flooded, because there was no threat. There are countless other discrepancies here, and none of it works. If you don't want lore, stop adding to the lore you don't want to pay attention to. If you do, write a new story that works. I understand there could be some other cause of having a reincarnating hero and a goddess-powered princess fighting a power-hungry demon king. Then lay off the incessant references for a bit and tell us the story unclouded by viewers discussing what's canon or not. We all like references, but don't let the past get in the way of the future. One small idea before I go. A theory, if you will. What if back at the beginning, the original war between Hylia with her chosen hero and Demise, Link was more resilient, and instead of Hylians being sent to the skies, they took arms and fought. Link would die later and be given the reincarnation gift from Hylia, and Demise would have been weak enough for Hylia to be able to destroy him instead of seal him, and that's when he cursed them. Link would already be suffering the curse, so Hylia decided to shed her divinity in order to help him fight as a Hylian. In the time before Link and Zelda's first reincarnation, the Zonai descended from the clouds, and the first imprisoning war took place. Zelda would incarnate as the descendant of Rauru and Sonia, which also doesn't make sense because I don't believe they had a child when Sonia died, and Breath of the Wild Zelda is supposed to be her descendant, so I don't know, I guess Sonia has a secret daughter or son who has Zelda number 1, and also, wouldn't that make the royal family furries? Anyway, a bunch of really convincing Phantom Ganons come along for the incarnations and descendants to fight until the Calamity where we leave off. Also, none of the references are canon, no sea salt text, no DLC armor, nothing except the places like Lon Lon Ranch and Tingle Island, because those are places and probably have to be canon. Also, there really isn't a cause for reincarnating Beetle and Tingle other than Beetle is helpful and likable, and Tingle should rot in hell with the Koroks. Oh, and the goddess statues aren't statues of Hylia. There's a different goddess that's still alive. Maybe Lolia or something. I don't really know how the rule works. Finally, Vi is just an assistant or something not meant for some Hail Mary plan that's just like, I don't think Kylie would be happy with Link dying right now. Anyway, I guess I've run out of steam. Can you tell I like Skyward Sword? Again, please feel free to respectfully tell me I'm wrong and explain why in the comments, unless I've already iterated on that. Thanks for watching, and a goodbye! One more thing, credit to Zelda PD video for the demise footage. Thank you.